In late fall of 2004, my traveling companion and I were just finishing a journey on the desert in India. We were up along the Pakistani border riding camels. It was about four of us, a small group. And we had rented these camels and we were making a journey along the border. And we finally finished our camping trip and we came back into the city. And we were sitting in this hotel in a lobby. And we saw these couple young German guys that came over to us and started talking in broken English and telling us about this wonderful place that they went that reminded them of Indiana Jones movie. Well, that got my curiosity up, and I was all ready to listen to them. And they said they didn't know what the English word for the place was, but they were calling it something like the Valley of the Sacred Monkey. And because of all the monkeys there, and there was sacred pools and healing pools and all that stuff. And they said it would be really worthwhile for you guys, meaning me and my buddy, to go there and visit it. And so we got some real sketchy directions on where it was at because they weren't even sure where it was at exactly. No names of streets and roads. It was just go here, go there, drive, turn. But my driver picked up on it and figured it out. And for some reason, it was very easy to find. And we found this thing on the outskirts of town, up this mountain area, and we parked and we hiked into this little canyon. The canyon was about 100 yards, maybe a little less wide, no more than a football field wide. And up the canyon walls were these temples, several stories tall. So you had temples facing each other in this canyon as you walked through the grounds. And by Indian standards, it wasn't crowded at all. There was just a handful of families there, and they were all going up these steps at the end of this little valley area we were in that led to a little temple. There was little marble steps, and there was a little marble temple there, and pools of healing water. And all around the pools were dozens and dozens of monkeys running around, and people were there splashing in the water and trying to bathe in it and take cups of it and jugs of it and everything else. Supposedly it had healing properties. And I wasn't really buying into it, but I had a real sore shoulder, was bothering me really pretty bad. So I took a little water and I put it on there. And it's interesting because days later, my shoulder actually started feeling pretty good. The rest of me wasn't doing good, but the shoulder was really doing well. So we were hanging around the monkeys there, keeping the monkeys from trying to steal our cameras and our food and things. And this old guy walked up to us and he said, "You might be interested in going further up the hill, about a mile or two. And on top of the hill, there's this gazebo-like temple. It's an open-air temple that's built for the sun god. And there's a guru up there that is in charge of it. You might find him of interest." And I'm going, sun god, another temple. I'm thinking a mile uphill, it's steep the rest of the way, this little narrow path. And he goes, "No, I think this is something you need." So that kind of jarred in me. And then my traveling companion goes, "Hey, Bill, we can get some good photos up there." I said, "Okay." I said, "But if there's a guru up there, we're not going to pay him to string a color string around my wrist or your wrist for a blessing, or pay for flowers, or pay for something else. I don't pay for blessings, and I'm tired of that." I said, "Okay." So we started walking up this trail, and it was hot, it was steep, and we're climbing and climbing and climbing, and all of a sudden we're feeling this. At least I was. I was feeling like somebody was watching me. You get the feeling somebody's watching you. And all of a sudden I look up there, and here's this guy standing in this temple way up there above us. He's got his arms folded. He's just kind of staring down at me. He's just watching me come up, So finally we get to the top. We walk within a few feet of the temple, and we stop. I said, I don't want to go in this guy's temple because I don't want to pay him any money. I don't want nothing. And I tell the guy, I go, "I don't want to pay you any money. I'm not into buying blessings. I don't want your strings. I don't want flowers. I want that." He says, "No, I want nothing from you. I want to give you something." And I said, "Yeah, sure." He says, "No, I made these for you guys. I made these for both of you." And he'd taken all these wildflowers that had grown around the area while we were walking up the hill, or when, I don't know when, but he had 2 garlands already made. When and how he made them, I don't know. And he took the garlands and he blessed them and he put them on our heads and blessed us and didn't want any money, didn't want nothing. It was interesting. So we said, okay, namaste, thank you, blessings. I turn around and look at the guy, and it was an interesting looking guy, because here's what's odd about this. At the time, and my buddy was taking photos, so I'm sure the photos probably won't bear out my description of the guy. But every time I think of this guru at that temple, he always looks the same. White hair, long white beard, long white hair, coming down the shoulders, earrings, big bulgy eyes, big nose, kind of looked like Moses or something. I mean, he had that look of a god like Moses or something. And when I started writing about this for my book, and when I started talking about it even for this video, that's the image that comes to my mind of what he looked like. And I'm pretty sure that's not what he really looked like. But anyway, that's an odd sidetrack then there. But so I'm trying to describe him what he looked like, because he was kind of like, his eyes were haunting me coming down that mountain. He kept watching me go down that mountain. So finally we're going down the mountain, and I realized we're being followed. And there's this young man that has been following us, and he's got just a loincloth on, and he's bare-chested, bare-legged, and he has sandals. And he's been following me, and he's been calling. He goes, American Babaji, American Babaji, American. Just the same thing that the guru at the top of the hill did to me as well. And that was starting to bug me in India, because I kept getting this American Babaji stuff. And I know in my heart, I know what they're saying. It's like you're an old revered person, a spiritual person, a revered father figure. But to me, there's one Babaji. And I just don't like being referred to as American Babaji, even though it's not used in the same context. But this guy kept coming and kept trying to grab my feet and touch my feet like I was his guru or something. I said, no, I refuse to let him do that. And then he asked me all these questions and stuff. I said, okay. So I took a few minutes. I answered his questions. I taught him a really simple meditation technique, gave him a bottle of water and everything. And then I took my flower light that I was given by the guru, and I was going to put it over his head. He goes, no, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. You can't give it to me. And I said, no. The God in me gives this to the God in you. I threw their Indian philosophy back at him. I knew he couldn't turn it down. So I put it on his head, and he was very humble and very meek. And then I told him. I gave him some personal instructions about his life, just a couple of things that he needed to know. And I told him, go off, live your life, And he left very reluctantly, but he kept looking back at me. So that was kind of an unnerving type thing. It was kind of odd. And then we're going back down the steps back towards the sacred pool, and we're crossing this courtyard. It's all cobblestone or some kind of stone. And there's this big basket of cobras. And there's this older lady. She's got a stick. She's banging the stick on this basket, and all the cobras are coming up, going crazy, getting angry. And so she she continues to do this. And I get angry. I'm thinking about, these poor snakes. So I go over there, and I rush right up to her, and I'm standing there with the basket right between my calves. And these snakes are coming up on both sides of my groin, and they're all over down there. And I reach down, and I just grab one by the middle of its body, and I'm hanging onto it like this and shaking it, and I'm yelling at her, very violently. I'm saying, hey, you can't be doing this to the snakes. And the snake's going back and forth like this. Pretty soon the snake is kind of striking, all, and I don't even pay attention to the snake. And the other snakes are kind of coming and going. But I was just hanging on to this snake. And pretty next thing I know, it's wrapped around my neck. And pretty soon it's got 2 or 3 strands around my neck, and it's like this. And I'm holding it like that. And then I look over, and I feel its tongue on my eyelash. And I turn around and I look. Now, here's what's interesting. In India, I would say most street cobras, the ones who got baskets doing these things, they're defanged. They don't have their fangs in there. Or they're certainly, the venom's melted out. This particular one, for whatever reason, had its full fangs. So when I turn around and I look at it, these 2 fangs are hanging just about an inch and a half, 2 inches from my eyeball. And for whatever reason, I was mesmerized. I looked at it and I go, wow. How often do you get a chance to look down the throat of a cobra snake? And I mean, really look down past the fangs and the tongue. And I just keep making this visual journey down the inside of this snake. It was almost like hypnosis. It was like pretty soon me and the snake are one. I'm like in this dark cavern inside of it, and I'm not even there mentally. I'm like mindless. And this goes on for several minutes, and I felt such great peace and such great love for this snake. I couldn't explain it, and the pursuit of the snake was just right there. And then there was another snake I picked up, and it was in my other hand, and then it went into my shirt, and I had to wrap around my stomach, and it was just beautiful. And then pretty soon the woman got mad because it was her snakes, and she's trying to make money, and she demanded I give her snakes back. And the fact that I've handled her snakes, now I owe her money, and I paid her. It didn't bother me at all. I got what I needed. I got a blessing. I felt love. I felt bliss. The only thing I was upset about was my buddy. He took off about 20-some feet away when I picked up the snakes, and I thought he'd be taking all kinds of pictures, and he just took a few after they're already calmed down, and I was putting them back in the basket. So I have a couple holding cobra snakes, but nothing with them, dramatic. Why did I do that? I don't know. It just felt right. And who was that guru up there for the sun god's temple? Interesting. But that was my adventure. That was in 2004 on my first trip to India. And I remember it to this day. And I have this affinity now with the cobra, which I didn't understand back then because I had several incidents since then. And it just feels sacred and holy.